Hey, this is Richard Williamson, creator of All Points West. Just want to go over the basic menu settings and the gameplay basics. So here's the play button. I'll show you what that does in a second. Here are the rules. Just goes page by page explaining the basic items that you should do in the game in order to win the game or enjoy it. So just stroll through that, and I'm going to show you each of these things in the game. Here's about. This is my software company, Middle Child Games. Had some great artwork help from Katarina Sermon from Poland. She's fantastic. And Joe Perz for some detail design concepts. Here's the settings. Great place to go either in the setup or in the game. Turn the music on right here. Turn it off. Turn off the sound effects. Turn off the tutorial. Turn on the tutorial. Tutorial is helpful when you're just learning the game. I'll leave it on for a second and then I'll turn it off. Hit play, go online basically, or offline. As I explained during beta testing, we just want to do offline for now. You can play against computers or people as a hot seat, meaning you hand the iPad to each other. So let's hit offline and let's turn tutorials off and sound effects back on. And the tutorial will be helpful for you when you're trying to do it yourself, but for me it's not that helpful. Okay, now change the name of companies right here. I'm using an iMac, a MacBook, to do this right now. So you'll just basically change the name of the railroad company. Okay, and you can also change the icon. The icon options are a person using the iPad or a computer. So we're going to be both two computers and a person. And I'm just going to hit finish, and that's it. The game then starts. It's loading up. Now, first you noticed we had a window on the left and a window on the right. The computer went first, so that's why the game started. Let me go back and show you what we just saw. It said welcome to All Points West over here. This is where you'll see whose turn it is. This icon you click on in order to see what the event is that's going on right now. It says trains are being robbed. The Midwest, which is this area. Any city or route in this area is impacted by reducing income by 50%. So that's the basics of the event. Now the yellow player went first. They don't go first every turn. Each round, the turn who goes first, the player that goes first is determined randomly. So we're the second player this turn, but next round we might be the first player. Okay, now I'm starting the game. There's a few options I can exercise. One is let's buy some track. So you click on that. Kansas City to Pueblo. Kansas City is this city. Pueblo's over here. Now you might want to buy that this turn, and after you buy it, you add cars in subsequent turns. So each turn you can do one thing. Let me tell you what else you can do on a turn. You can buy stock. You can buy stock in yourself. There's 5 shares publicly available at the moment. You can buy shares in your computer or human opponents. I'll explain later why that's important. Here are some booster cards, and these are basically cards you can do to kind of overcome the rules of the game temporarily. So definitely going to want to use those, especially later on as the game continues. Alright, now let me explain the board a little. When you click on one of these blue sun looking things, it will show you the optimal route for a special route. And then it turns on the cost of the routes. A route is a track between 2 cities. And this one's $7, for example. So if we buy that, it'll cost $7. Let's go ahead and do that just for fun. You can see them building the track, and then it says what player and what route they bought. So the computer just did something. The computer bought a booster card. Now the yellow computer built a route between Carson City and Boise. The setting for the computer is kind of fast. It doesn't give you a chance necessarily to see it, but during testing I didn't want it to be mundane, watching the computer take 20 seconds for a turn. So during testing I'll want everybody to let me know what's a good amount of time to wait for the computer to take their move. Alright, so I showed you how to do that, and here's the next thing you're going to do. You will buy a car, either passengers, food, wood, or mail. You're going to want to do that in order to connect cities that have wood. For example, Portland has a little corona of wood around it, and San Francisco has passengers also that need to be delivered to it. And you'll also see mail over here with La Crosse. If you click on the city, you'll see where the mail needs to come from. Guyana, which is a Mexican city. And you don't have to use the route that's shown. That's the optimal route. You can use any sort of connection you want. Now, you'll see a lot of lines on the page. Well, what that does is it gives you a way to tell basically where you should build your empire if you want to focus on a particular type of passengers or other goods. So this is called the survey button. You're clicking that in order to get rid of the prices, because that's a little distracting. Then you can say, well, I want to do passengers, it looks like, because I usually like to take a southern route over to California to build your transcontinental railroad. And then Tacoma. So Tacoma goes all the way to San Antonio. So if you wanted to build this special route, which in other games is called a ticket or a completed cargo route, then this special route you would need to connect all these cities any way you want to on the board. So if you already had a route, say, connecting the passengers all the way over to Chicago from Tacoma, you could go from Chicago to San Antonio and complete your route. You'd have to go through Houston. So if you do that, at the end of the game, it'll be a bonus. Now let's look at the scoreboard now that we talked about how to build routes and add cars. The scoreboard shows this is the number of tracks we've built. I put an engine because basically an engine is going to be moving back and forth, ready to deliver up to 2 goods per route. This is special routes. At the end of the game, there's a bonus for the player that has the most special routes completed. Special route is what I said over here. We click on Tacoma, you can see it's passenger service from San Antonio. And this is food, number of food cars that are on routes, wood, and mail. Last thing to check out is stocks. If you click on any of the stocks on any of the 3 players, you'll get the stock trading window coming up. If we bought stock, which we'll go ahead and do, you'll buy it for $15. You have $43 right now because we bought the $7 track. So if you buy that, one of your stocks is now purchased, and you can also purchase your opponent's stock. And I'll just go ahead and explain that now. If the game ended right now, you would have $28, and you would have 1/5 of the $28 as your point total. Now you get bonuses if you have the most passenger routes, the most food, the most wood, the most mail. And then you get a bonus for being transcontinental, and you get bonus for having the most special routes. So you'd get 1/5, 20% of 28 and any other bonuses. Now if you own stock in another company, you'd get 20% for each share of stock of whatever their total points was at the end of the game, and any bonuses. So right now we will focus on building a passenger route. So I'm going to click on passenger, and there you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a few other things. But first let me explain transcontinental. So transcontinental means you're connecting all the way across the United States. And the computer's continuing to move here. Now it's our turn, so the game will stop. Alright, you need to connect Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, or New Orleans, any of those 4 cities, to any of these cities: Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, or Tacoma. When you do that at the end of the game, there's a 100-point bonus that adds on to your score. Let me show you one last item, which is the booster cards. So it's our turn. Booster cards allow you to overcome the rules of the game temporarily. So we're going to buy one. You can see it says move rolling stock, move all cars from one route to another. So what that means is if it's our turn, we can choose to play that card and move cars from one route to another. We only have one route right now, so it doesn't really help us. Let me buy a couple more cards so that you can understand what they all are. I'll do a separate video on what all the cards do. So let's pull up our booster panel and let's buy another one. This one is called State License. So what that means is, and I'll go ahead and do it, is the state license allows you to block other players from building routes or adding cars in a particular state. Basically, you've gone to the state legislature and said, I would like to be the exclusive rail carrier of a state. And right now we're going to choose Texas. So let's go ahead and choose Texas. Choose any of the cities in Texas, and they all will be colored your color. So we're red, so now they're all blocked. No one can build in Texas except us. Now, you can always overcome someone else's license for a state by playing the license card also. Another really neat card that you're going to want to hoard is not the engine upgrade. You're going to want to play that immediately. So when you get engine upgrade, you're going to want to play it, and it increases your income by 10% every time you play it, and it's cumulative. So you're going to end up getting a lot of money per turn if you play that card several times. So let's get one more card. State license again. You can see it keeps coming back up because there's only 9 cards total. They can be reused at any time. They can also be hoarded. So you can keep 3 cards in your hand if you know there's a special card you want. I will, as I said, go through all the bonuses, not bonuses, boosters, and I'll basically get each player 3 cards, and that is the 9 cards, and then I'll play each one of them to show you the examples. Thanks a lot, and once again, thanks for testing, and email me if you have any questions. Monday night Eastern, 7:30 to 9:30, I'm ready to help, explain, play with you, whatever you want, and Thursday night also. Thanks much.